Okay, so next we have to start doing the coding. So what do we want this first button to do? You saw that I implemented it already in the example at the beginning of class. What does this first button do? What do we want it to do? To what? Get rid of all anything that's in the text box, right? So we want it to get rid of the whatever's in there. And that's accomplished very easily by this line right here. So, we need, this first. Let me explain. So we have, what does this say here? txt edit.text, right? And you can just clear it out by doing .empty. Okay? But what we're going to do is we're going to create a property called edit text, which basically just represents this here. Okay? So we're going to create a property that represents this, and then we're just going to say that this property dot empty, equals string dot empty, and that will clear it. I'm sorry, I made a mistake. So we're going to set this to equal to string dot empty, and that will clear it. So really, you don't need a property to do this, but he's putting it into a property and then doing it that way. But you really could write just txt edit.text equals string.empty, and that would clear it. Okay, let me say that again. You don't really need this whole property thing here. You could just write here txt edit.text, that you'd write that part here, and then equals string.empty, and that should work, I believe, just as well. Okay, but he's doing it kind of formally, and so he's making a property and then setting the property equal to string.empty. So let's try it that way, but you can also try it the other way if you want. Okay, but anyway, try this. Type in this property, and then all we're going to do is set that property equal to string.empty. You want to type this and this. Okay, so after you have this one, there's one more thing we want to do, and that is we want to implement a text changed event handler. What does that mean? A text changed event handler. So you did that last week. Remember when you so what we want to happen basically is when someone types in here, we want this to be set to ready. Okay, and how are we going to do that? We're going to do the txt edit underscore text change. So you can just double click on this text box, and that will create one of these event handlers. And then what you want to do is set status text equal to ready. Okay, and that's going to make this equal to ready. Okay, so we're going to type that in as well. So type this in, and then let's see what happens. Now, how are we going to get that one clear button to work? Because what have we done so far? We have this subroutine called clear edit box, which sets that clears the box, but we didn't run it yet. We haven't run this subroutine. We just wrote it. We just defined it, right? But we didn't use it yet. So where do we want to call this subroutine called clear edit box? Where do we want to call that? When do we want to call this subroutine? It's going to clear the edit box, hopefully, if it works, but we have to use it somewhere, otherwise it's not going to ever run. So where do we want it to run? When do we want it to run? What? When they hit the button, right? So how are you going to get that to happen? So let's use the class and method combos just for, you know how to do it another way, but let's do it that way. So in other words, what I'm talking about is this. you go back to here, and if you go to, what he suggests we do is go to here, click on this button, and you see all of the objects on your form. Now you don't have all of these set up yet, but you do have this one set up, right? TBR clear. So you select that one, and then what do? You go over here, and you see all the different events that you can use for that particular button, and the one you want is the click button. So you just select that, and then you'll have this here. So now, what do we want to happen when we click this button? We want to run that subroutine that we were just looking at, the subroutine that cleared the text box. And what was the name of that subroutine? It was called clear edit box. So just put that in here and see if it runs. Okay, so type that in, and then test your whole program and see if you can clear the text in the edit box. Now, I asked some of you to use that simplified version, so I'm curious to know whether that works or not. Okay, but anyway, just test what you have. You just run it and type something in here and see if this button works. So you don't have to create a property called edit text to get this to work. You can just take the properties are usually sometimes called like wrappers for members. This is a member txt.edit text. So we're just sort of encapsulating this in this property. But anyway, all you need to do is take this thing and set it equal to string.empty like that. But I'll leave it the way he did it. So I'll put this one as a comment and go back and do it that way. Okay, any questions so far? Okay, next. You can, okay, let's implement the red button as well. So how do we implement the red button? So this was for implementing the clear button. And for implementing the red button, make a subroutine called red text. Okay? And here he doesn't even use the property that he created. So he does it the direct way here. Okay, so do this. So write public sub red text, and then this line here, txt edit.forecolor equals color.red. And that will change the text to red. Okay? Well, sorry. If you run this, it will change the text to red, but we haven't run it yet. Okay? And then he also does one more thing here in this subroutine, which is he sets the status text equal to text is now red. So that's going to show up in the status bar at the bottom. It's going to say text is now red. So type this subroutine, and then where do we want to call this? We haven't used this yet. Where do we want to use it? Okay, so of course you know that we want to use it in the button. So what do? You go to here, and you find the TBR red, and then you have the click event handler, and you're going to run it in there. So you can see that here I run. Sorry, not that one. I want to go to, okay, let's go to TBR red, and click is set that, and that could be this. Okay, and then you want to run it here.